going to say hello?
For this list, we're looking at the most terrifying sequences ever seen on television. We'll be considering both horror and non-horror shows on this list. As long as it's scary, we're including it. Also, a big-time spoiler alert is in effect. What do you think is the scariest moment in television history? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. Number 10. Going In. Chernobyl. The Chernobyl disaster was begging for a screen adaptation. The world got a fantastic one in 2019 from HBO and creator/writer Craig Mazin. The first episode is all about the disaster itself, and the second concerns the preliminary cleanup work. This includes draining the basement of water to prevent a catastrophic steam explosion. In go volunteers Ananenkov, Beshpalov, and Baranov. They wade through knee-high radioactive water and attempt to make their way through the basement labyrinth in the dark. And then their flashlights go out, leaving them in utter darkness. The sound design throughout the sequence is truly intense, complete with the characters' panicked breathing and the screaming Geiger counter. Never mind the radiation. It's a miracle they didn't drop dead of fright. Number 9. The Gentleman. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Most people probably wouldn't consider Buffy the Vampire Slayer to be very scary, despite its image-conjuring title. Those people have not seen The Gentleman. These villains star in Season 4's Hush, which is often considered one of the best episodes of the series. These are creepy, demonic figures who take on the appearance of pale, bald humanoids with metallic teeth. They float around about an inch off the ground, use a magic box to steal people's voices, and cut out hearts with a scalpel. To make matters worse, the stolen voice prevents their victims from screaming for help, or even screaming out in pain. Wasn't this show supposed to be fun? Because watching this certainly is not fun. Number 8. The White Stuff. Game of Thrones. As scary as Ramsay Bolton was, even he can't compete with an epic battle involving ice zombies. Season 5's Hardhome mostly concerns the titular village, as Jon goes there to meet with the Lord of Bones and recruit the wildlings to his cause. But before they can leave, the village is beset by thousands of screaming, growling wights. The massacre at Hardhome is one of the show's most exciting, and certainly its scariest sequence, complete with many horrific images that will long be stuck in your mind. These include the wights charging the fence and falling off the cliff, the skeletal child wight, and the undead corpses rising to stare at Jon with their icy blue eyes. There's more horror packed into these 20 minutes than some horror movies. Number 7. The Picnic. American Horror Story. As scary as Asylum was, it didn't have Freak Show's Twisty the Clown. And Twisty the Clown could very well be the scariest villain in American Horror Story history.
For me.
He's introduced in brutal and agonizing fashion when crashing a nice picnic. The scene is straight out of a nightmare, complete with a grotesque and filthy creature intruding on an idyllic space. Twisty's actions are of course repulsive, but his macabre physical design adds another layer that elevates him above other freaky, murderous clowns. It's that damn mask! Then again, as we later find out, what's beneath the mask is arguably even scarier. Number 6. Whisperer's Reveal. The Walking Dead. One of the prevailing themes of The Walking Dead is that humans are scarier than zombies. One of the scariest scenes comes in the very first episode, when Rick wakes up all alone in an abandoned hospital. But the show has always provided intense scares from its human villains, and the introduction of the Whisperers is among the creepiest and most atmospheric scenes of the entire series, complete with dense fog and scary, well, whispering.
You are where you do not belong.
The reveal itself is particularly brilliant, as what appears to be a zombie ducks under Jesus' sword and stabs him in the back. That's because the Whisperers are post-apocalyptic Leatherfaces, disguising themselves in masks made of zombie skin. It's revolting stuff. Number 5. The Bent Neck Lady, The Haunting of Hill House. Even though it has basically little to do with Shirley Jackson's seminal horror novel, The Haunting of Hill House is an exceptional Netflix production that blends horror with fascinating human drama. The show is filled with many blood-curdling moments, including a dead Nell appearing behind Steve, and little Luke getting stuck in the basement with a creepy crawly. But perhaps the scariest of all is the Bent Neck Lady. Not just for her physical appearance, although that is certainly hair-raising. Rather, the scariest aspect of her character is what she represents, that being a dead Nell haunting herself from the future. We're not sure if this plot twist was more brilliant or petrifying, but either way, it is certainly memorable. Number 4. Basically the whole episode. The X-Files. Really, this entire freaking episode is terrifying. Of course, The X-Files produced some real doozies back in its heyday, including Season 1's Squeeze. But absolutely nothing beats home. In this one, Mulder and Scully travel to an isolated farmhouse to investigate the death of a baby.
Mulder, it looks as if this child has been afflicted by every rare birth defect known to science.
What they find is ripped straight from a delirious nightmare. This was the only X-Files episode to be given a TVMA rating, and the first to contain a viewer discretion warning, owing mainly to its disturbing nature and graphic violence, which included burying a baby alive.
Only one sperm in thousands from a single individual can penetrate an ovum membrane, let alone from 3 separate males.
What if generations of autosomal breeding could produce such a mutation?
The episode was criticized for its content, and even the production crew was disturbed by what they had to make. Regardless, what they made was a classic episode of television. Number 3. Weeping Angels, Doctor Who. True to its reputation as the most popular science fiction show of all time, Doctor Who has crafted some truly legendary creatures throughout the decades. The freakiest of them all, the Weeping Angels, were introduced in 2007.
Angela!
The episode Blink found the Doctor, Sally Sparrow, and Larry Nightingale fighting said angels, murderous quantum-locked creatures who deposit their victims in another time period. The angels appear as stone statues when being observed, and strike when their victims are not looking. Their physical appearance, their sudden movements, and their powers are all terrifying, and they have often been ranked in various polls as some of the greatest Doctor Who monsters. Number 2. Pennywise in the Sewer. It. No one can deny the sheer screen charisma and magnetic energy of Tim Curry.
Aren't you gonna say hello?
Even to this day, the opening sewer sequence of the It miniseries involving Pennywise and Georgie is deeply distressing, which mainly stems from Curry's menacing performance.
I, Georgie, am Pennywise the Dancing Clown. You are Georgie. So now we know each other.
It helps that there are no dated visual effects to bring the scene down, just good old-fashioned acting prowess. This scene traumatized an entire generation, and even though the movies are more recent, it will likely continue to do so. Next time you're passing a sewer grate, just remember, they all float down there.
When you're down here with me, you float too!
Number 1. Something on the Wing, The Twilight Zone.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination.
Before he was Captain Kirk, William Shatner was that guy from that episode of The Twilight Zone. Officially titled Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, this episode was crafted by some of the greatest minds in horror. It's written by Richard Matheson and directed by Richard Donner, later of The Omen fame.
There's a man out there. What? Look, he's crawling on...
The famous wing sequence is among the scariest ever put on TV, combining a fear of flying with deliriously surreal and truly terrifying images, a result of great minds at the top of their respective games. It's one of the most parodied scenes in pop culture for a reason. Everyone knows it, everyone fears it, and everyone needs to laugh about it to alleviate any lingering trauma. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.